We're all going to hear from the president very soon, so I don't want to step on any announcements he may make, but I'm happy to take a few short questions.
Can we just get your reaction to the jobs report?
The president has presided over the most extraordinary economic turnaround in American history. During the Biden administration, we saw zero net job gains for American workers in 4 years, which is an economic depression for American workers. It's an actual depression. Since President Trump has came into office, 100% of job gains have gone to American workers, as millions of foreign workers who are here illegally have left the country. So this is the biggest economic turnaround in American history. On top of that, you have $4 trillion from the CBO. It's going to be much more than that coming into the Treasury from the tariffs, the historic trade policy. You have well over $15 trillion of pledged foreign investment coming into the country to revitalize the economy, and you have the passage of the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. So we are living through the most successful, extraordinary economic revival. You see car plants coming in, you see steel plants coming in, you see manufacturing plants coming in. You're going to see all these critical industries, pharmaceuticals, chips, semiconductors, reshoring. It is truly the great American revival that President Trump has unleashed. And of course, we're also going to, we have seen the most extraordinary job growth for American workers and American citizens that we've seen in recent history, coming off a period of 4 years where every single job went to a foreign worker. Foreign workers are now leaving the economy. American workers are getting all the benefits. And of course, we have larger issues to deal with, the integrity of BLS that President Trump has spoken about, and we're going to get that fixed, and we're going to get honest and accurate jobs numbers. Next question. Yes, sorry, yes, yep.
Can you respond to Washington, D.C. train suing the Trump administration over the National Guard?
Well, I think the important thing is, the D.C. Attorney General's office is a separate office. It's not part of the mayor's office. Not many people may realize that in Washington, D.C., that the Attorney General operates completely separate from the mayor's office, and which is an unusual setup because typically, the mayor would control the full administration of the justice authority within her city. The mayor's office, as you know, issued an executive order requiring long-term cooperation between the city and the federal government. And that's what President Trump has asked for from the beginning. He said that we want cities that want our help to formally seek it out and request it. And so the mayor, to her credit, she signed an executive order creating the framework for that long-term cooperation. And now as a result of that executive order, the federal law enforcement assets, the National Guard assets, and the full federal apparatus will be able to work with the city to deliver this extraordinary public safety improvement for the long term. And you're only seeing the very beginnings of this. So, during the first few weeks, of course, we've seen these radical reductions in violent crime. We're just getting started. DEA, ATF, FBI have only just begun to identify, disrupt, and dismantle the criminal organizations that have been wreaking havoc on the city for so long. And we're going to take them apart, member by member, group by group, piece by piece, and we're going to set this city free. I have time for one last question.
Even on immigration, could I ask you on immigration?
And the Democrats attempt to drive a wedge between President Trump and Secretary Kennedy. Their attempt to do that, I guess, today's hearing.
The Democrats are continuing to support a completely failed approach to public health that we have seen over generations has resulted in chronic increases in obesity, in diabetes, in heart health, and just in general, the chronic disease burden on America has been extraordinary. It is the number one driver of public health costs, and it's the number one driver of early deaths. And of course, in particular, especially tragic has been the early childhood chronic disease burden. And I say this as a parent of young children. There's so many kids who have allergies, who have asthma, who have skin conditions, for example, psoriasis or eczema, who have all kinds of chronic digestive issues, gut issues. There's so many health issues. Not to mention, of course, the particularly terrifying illnesses like pediatric cancer. And so President Trump and RFK are working on getting to the systemic causes. What is in our environment? What is in our approach to healthcare? What is in our approach to medicine that is either failing to address or is contributing to this chronic disease burden? And we all celebrate RFK, Bobby, for his leadership in this issue. And President Trump has been committed from the beginning to developing a comprehensive approach to reducing chronic illness in America. Time for one last question. Anything over here?
On Venezuela, President of Colombia is saying that cartel of the Suns does not exist. What can you answer, and which message do you send to people in Venezuela after this indictment of Nicolas Maduro?
Well, as you know, and thank you for bringing it up, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker. He's indicted in federal court. He's a fugitive from justice in America. As I think you're also aware, there's a $50 million reward for the return of Nicolas Maduro. Not just him, his henchmen have also been indicted. So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It's not a government, it is a drug cartel a narco-trafficking organization that is running Venezuela. And this has been documented in federal court, and indictments have been secured. The people of Venezuela have been suffering and struggling under the reality of a nation that is so rich in resources, so rich in reserves, that is run by Maduro, the head of the cartel that you referenced, the Cartel de los Sols. That is absolutely one of the most ruthless criminal cartels on the planet. And many Americans may not realize that the drugs killing their kids are coming from Maduro, and also the criminal aliens killing their kids are coming from Maduro. So he's sending his drugs, he is sending his killers, his assassins into our communities, and he's working directly with other designated foreign terrorist organizations like the FARC in Colombia and all the Mexican drug cartels. So it's one continuous loop. And for decades and for years, for generations, we used our military to engage in action against terrorists in the Middle East and in Africa, while leaving unharmed the terrorists in our own hemisphere who are responsible for so much more American deaths, so many more American deaths, who have spilled so much blood across the Western Hemisphere, who have bereaved so many parents and families, and who have contributed to such a horrific cycle and just nonstop, relentless surge of violence in our cities. Every major city in America is suffering from cartel violence. Even the U.S.-based gangs are working directly with these cartels. The drugs, the guns, the weapons, the cash, the organization. We've been occupied by cartels for far too long. President Trump is finally allowing and directing the United States military to use its authorities under the Constitution to defend America from the terrorist organizations that have run free for too long in our own hemisphere. Thank you all. Thank you for the question.
On foreign policy.
Are you sending ICE operations there today?
Have they started yet, sir?